Abono nsia de shima ya mama jo. Sompa so no wasugu awutie ya de hye osunwan. Sompa 98.9 wamuso ebekutem. Na ensem a wobete no kase boy mu enie. Mampanyini na nadodan kwa Akufo-Addo. Wose Ghana 42 ne Christopher no. Yempagya mpaibo ewusikasam no.
Na Ghana mampanya be de so de ato dwa kire sika krabia mu siesia. Won betena konya so wo mu ye no ka ho bi na ma Ghana ahokire abai.
Dr. Kwabnadufo se beye ne sikasem no be yie ne aban no nkoso a na won tete ne niema so.
Opanyi pa bia ba ne sikasem o wabere mu so kire se Bank of Ghana. Enhyamudi a won mo koye no nyame anim ni emfaso bia ne hono a na wo so.
Enenap ko 40 gu mantre so independence so kwae. Sabo so men kura katua no aban no ntua.
Ekuo bi ye wo fro wo sa Rise Ghana ma aban no don hwere duonu nan. Se ye rake no frata won man tu na de so a wo mu akasa ebe ye biribi.
Adehye wadwira one ma boa man penia be de eche Doctor Alhaji Mamadou Baumi abaso se wa boa ma community water supply no wo mo so anya wo mo chefa
sanso na wasofo ye wo hwe akwantempon sanso nso akasa kire se anche bia kwan ahodo pii no asefata sa ban ye nsiesie no ne nyina da ode begu akwan
Western North NPP Communication Bureau wa friends and jofo hia mo afasesembe ho
ye be kwatafo amarbo yansaka frita fo kire se emu maako dunson braso se omkokosie no mkoduru yi a empanyfo se mu no won ma se to ahyeda
Action Aid Bunumantemu wo yensiesie ne ekuaku ansha ban ase se enemre ye nipa da so fa nipa nko atono wo be yini na dade afiri ho
sanso na wokosunyare West Kropon ne mo Bunumantemu ababa dadwa se mabunu yi a wo no mo so ne Fulani fo de asie nipa ma meka sai anantwi a wakunkum wo no enya no bini
ebika ho ena yesi nkonwa na ye de abesom wo hini ni amakrancha dazoa sofumame premeni mene akosia ejewa kwade boatin kase bono enie mampanyini na nadodan kwa Akufo-Addo wose Ghana fo nyina da mpagya mpabo ni titu ne Christopher ne nanano muziremifo entie mu frɛ wonyankoro pon no amna menhunu wa ma no mobo wose ya na ye ne nwanwa pa sese de ne o men ya kuya nim ne nyina da ekoyie yesika semu na fofrai mu ne nyina da nani ese bi yeso ne ye kontokwa no eyade a ehu pa wode asem itu dwa wo 12th Binian 50th Golden Conference Methodist Church Ghana Winneba na wo mudi wonu hyiamu eho mampanyini na nadodan kwa Akufo-Addo okasa sei
As President of the Republic, my goal since coming into office has been to help improve the standards of living of the Ghanaian people. Every policy initiative, whether it is the free senior high school policy, the program for planting for food and job, or the one district, one factory initiative has been implemented with the well-being of the Ghanaian at heart. Before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, our nation had one of the fastest growing economies, not just in Africa, but across the world. However, ravages of the pandemic, worsened by the effects of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have led to spiraling freight charges, rising fuel costs, high food prices, steep inflationary spikes, and widespread business failure. I am fully aware these are very difficult times for us in Ghana, just as they are for most people in the world, cold comfort as that may be. However, just as I said recently, the Akufo-Addo government has not thrown its hands up in despair at this pernicious development. We're determined to bring relief to the Ghanaian people, return the economy back to the high rates of growth that characterize the management of our economy in the 3 years preceding the COVID outbreak in 2020. The approach to the International Monetary Fund is an important step in the short run towards that goal. Other steps will be taken, in particular, to deal with the unacceptable depreciation of the cedi. Reining in inflation by bringing down food prices is a major preoccupation of the government. This season's emerging successful harvest will assist us achieve this objective, together with other policies that are being put in. We will also continue with our program for the expansion and modernization of our educational system to create a 21st century workforce. The systematic reform of our healthcare system ensure a resilient, robust healthcare delivery system. The realization of the agenda of industrial transformation that holds the key to our future prosperity. The enhancement of agricultural productivity guaranteed the prospects of food security. The execution of the comprehensive infrastructural development plan in roads and railway. The conclusion of the digitalization process to obtain the full benefits of the fourth industrial revolution. The protection and greening of our environment to address climate change. The empowerment of the security services to ensure the peace, security, and stability of the state and nation. The establishment of a free and just society where entrepreneurship and individual initiative are the sources of wealth creation with a strong social safety net for the marginalized and disadvantaged.
Mampanyini Nanadudankwa Ekufu Ado.
Mampanya be the chair Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia de Akwatu Jawa Internal Audit Conference. Jumedia Sunko na kwaso wan kramante mo ase kire mo se wa memo nanka asam ni fie na so abai boni anu ati akonya so yira John Dramani Mahama na penso enje se ya wan fangu akwan mu nti ana nam so ma sika kra bia wo dro no a ebi mo ana won mu ni nkrata wo mo so a na wan mo ye adwuma wo suma se ebebo aze wo magane mu na wo kire sa nam so ma ba na betena akonya so no wo ye so obeya nhia sonko de atumi aboa na wo ye nsiesie wo sika kra bia wo do mu a sika twitwiri die $7 billion ana ba no di wura mu wo se eno krampo koda nchen a covid ene Ukraine ne Russia ntokwa eno so besan ka wiem no ka ho bi ana menne wo magana awie samoako ene adwi.
We had to undertake a major banking crisis reform that we consolidated a number of banks. At that time, 2018-2019, this cost almost close to $7 billion for the country to save the banking system. Almost $7 billion. Now, the choice that was available was either you let the banking system collapse or you save. There was really no middle way. Whose deposits were you going to let go? And we had to save the banking system and the deposits of 4.6 million people. Of course, we also had COVID coming in the end of 2019, and we had the worst economic depression since the 1930s in the global economy, and COVID had its major impact. Of course, from the president's point of view at the time of COVID, the emphasis was to save lives and was not on fiscal discipline. And so we had to basically focus on saving lives at great fiscal cost. But before we could know it, Russia and Ukraine also came to add to our troubles, and we are dealing with those issues. So fiscal discipline really is the ability of government to balance revenues and expenditures. And when discipline is not maintained, expenditures inevitably exceed revenues, and that creates a deficit. Following where we are, government has focused in the 2022 budget on fiscal consolidation to enhance debt and fiscal sustainability as we implement our economic revitalization and transformation program. Measures that have been implemented in the 2022 budget include validation and revenue enhanced measures to reposition our economy. Indeed, the implementation of the measures highlighted in the 2022 budget should lead to a significant fiscal adjustment from a projected deficit of 12.1% of GDP in 2021 to 7.4% of GDP in 2022. And this represents a 4.7 percentage point adjustment, a downward adjustment in the deficit in 1 year. In January 2022, government announced and began implementing a 20% expenditure cut as part of the fiscal stabilization and debt sustainability measures through the Ministry for Finance. And this was followed by an additional 10% cut in discretionary expenditure, all in an attempt to balance the fiscal position and restore fiscal discipline following the banking crisis, the COVID, the Ukraine and Russia war, and so on. In addition, the Ministry of Finance has strengthened expenditure monitoring systems and processes to ensure effective implementation of these measures. For instance, government called for efficient use of energy resources, and in line with this, fuel coupon allocations to all political appointees and heads of government institutions, including SOEs, were cut by 50%.
Near turning K. Ghana Mampenya Bediachi, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia.
Akane for Trosansua for and it is Yamanyokum, Dr. Quabrando for Edia Futua Kodiama buying, says the Castamuni dear himono, a paya and Kawaman Titania so was here woman Sawamati be so dear and woman Koswa. Now one Monteso, when my Ghana city, as I bring a Dania da Pache, ye we are singing at the age Jojo Yang, Sans America Dradano. Wa yere kokwaso ani ebedi asia ye ye ho hwehwehwehwe so a enye eno nam so ma papa kwabrado fo se wo jeje to ne ma ne ewudie na ate so se de be na wankasa mfa ade so abebre nso enso amu komu march bo so me ne de to so aduonu nan afie mu a NMPP aban de betu dwa se wone ne cabinet ene ne mpanifo nyina da wono makatua wo mo te so ohemu nchemu no aduasa Dr. Kwabrado fo se wo mo tibi nka ho.
We should cut all the expenditure. We should. We can still cut it. Look, Prof. Mills reduced his MDAs from 27 to 23. You understand? President Kufuor went with 27 MDAs. Prof. Mills came and cut it down to 23. We can still cut expenditure down. If you don't have revenue, if you don't grow the revenue, what do? You cut the expenditure down to make sure that you don't overburden yourself, especially when revenue is not coming. If you're not growing the revenue, you must watch your spending. We must also be careful. We are destroying our institutions. A young economist will say, when the fundamentals are right, so. It goes beyond that. If you are destroying institutions like the judiciary, of course it will have an effect on our currency. But the investors say, hey, we're the country which there's no law. When you destroy your banking industry, I'm an investor. You don't have a bank to work with? No. We cannot wait for 8 months for anybody to come and help us. We have our own gold. So apart from the fundamentals, making your currency strong, institutional destruction is a serious issue that must be looked at. We are talking too much. During my vetting years ago, I said money is a special commodity. It doesn't like noise. You are talking too much.
Hey, Dr. Kwabrado for a baby a chamu and it is Yamanyokumu, no may for to science, no, national.
Banisika semu ono so abere mu Yero Prince obri yeboa and na watch them say nyame no kwasem ni nanwada Bank of Ghana nhyiamudi a won mokoye yode for mesika sam ho no ene nkoma nkokora nkefa so was ye nim se neighbor bi o my Ghana dru ne mu oten pa entiki yesuesu agene yesuesu adwene ye ba hwe kwan pa o man sika sem betumi dia fa so titiru de be ma mabunu adwadifo adrowafo de sika twitwiridie e ba ba hye won botom na so se ye kwa yesuesu adwene ni asare sika ni bi sa aka ho mekowie kire na adwadifo ho be kire wo mu a ne ne no man bai ene ye kire ne sa no.
Approach here, the regulators of the economy and they resolving this current they are not the best. And yet no unemployment rate according to the Ghana Statistical Service, June year unemployment rate could do 13% and happens to be one of the highest regime and whenever there's an unemployment rate, who create business atmosphere, even 2022 budget was promoting entrepreneurship. So who promoting entrepreneurship interest rate here then ever from na mabuna school everything bank by what the government main objective not to promote or practicing the vice versa of what abana then promote into the net effect and there are a number of things the government could have done because say enya no kreda se ubie utisi abontina ubie telephone na obusa Ghana for say kire se inflation nyema bo ekosoro no ase kire se monya sika bebrenti na ama nyema bo ekosoro na bigidi se watiefo ana ofu info be di madanse enya sika na abatemamfo nsem ana nyema bo yeden ekosoro approach here the regulators of the economy and they resolve this current ahokire wo man.
Near ten Kay Aya Panipa ya Banisika Semwa Wabrimu, Yero Prince Obri Yeboa.
Yet work as the upon us so Napco treni for Sabre, Womusikatia Kam, Abosomen Kono, Abosujete, or Mayimu, Aka, Nes Womutiamu Jefoma, Namsumen, or Memuin in independence so quay, Yeni Anumi Quatratana from, E Susragana, Bansa Quamo yo, H. Wamre, no Meruna this Yamabo, Nabosomen Kono, Akatriano, Woman Fama, say a Ghana Revenue Authority, say one my G, one bay, Juma or Napco Hono, and yes, September, Bosum, any day, Dikain, will be unquote, Nangaso Pamo, for Trosanswa Fok and Rufuriata, and Dikan Berimo, saying yes, September is the Jumedian Nadaberry, Nasamin, near Wokramupano, any Dennis Opoku Katechia, one may one and Napco Domino, would you want when him Dennis Wamanaso. Hello, Mr. Katechie.
Yes, sir.
What is she about Maju Ebru?
Major so minia.
Na send a kwasi Yamokoye no.
Meda se ma memfa encha sonko ema na menchia wotiefo ewo Sompa FM kasafidi kesi so. Eya no kre ejebo nyame adom wato nsupa egu enedwumadie no so. Yesase ewo eye obrasto na onyame adom a police for no bo na baso eye greater service na police command. Police for ba ye ayi bambum ma sebe wetimi enya ni da for ni GSA ye betu anamo ye call Independence Square ho ena na ye hwehwe omanpanyin abegete ye excellency the vice president of the Republic of Ghana Senator Dawo obeba na baba be say petition mu amai na sebe wenya tempa pe bi so e dey akanto ye but ye drew ho where 2 hours ena yenya ni the deputy chief of staff ena oba abisi eye His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Mahmoud Bawumia, and waji position amayo. See, anche energy yeti say wo mo to be educated no ma o mo eba. Aja as a leader and me interim executive. You book no penyini abra na na putini state from village na wa so. Ye share the also na aja bi position amano ono so kasai. So ayampa omonsa kakraka e Jubilee House. Na ewo for ompanyini abegete na oba nenso so ome omo eye cabinet meeting bia ema nti ompanyini abegete ye Dr. Bawumia na asoma no pe ene ona independence na ometia na kufo na omeji position no ewo ono ndi na ompanyini deputy chief of staff editor ye ni se the aben royal listening government meeting oni se enke the nyoma ya kenya no na monchu etumi afaso abana omo address no ede amai enumu ena ma me plan ko dikate kopin sai ena anamonchu ngoba se de beya yenkai enye se mo bi en oye ni se akata se nyanya me be ko mu sebi oba odu wasimira mehwewa onumpi ya against ya ma abano eye na working antia Sompa bi amfaba no a NBC ye ne UBC bi na this time the Deputy Jubilee House isan say obata na chese ye ni abuye anti ta pepepe na mi ato support the movement so abana wiye e dey
Ghana Revenue Authority for so the nkrata PM Monteso say munua no mo a wo mo gi wo mo no 1 September wo mo sese yenkuku ni enkaka nko asemu imate.
Let us say, yes, hunu sekulana person. We're very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Let Elisa Ebeba. But before then, before Ghana Revenue Authority for about a sense that many and Ukrainian they would be and good man. But Union Momoko, Ghana Revenue Authority, there, I'm going to be corrected. I think say 2 months ago. And I bind the Ghana Revenue Authority for a year or more from Bimba Abedu 2 months arrears. So, and basic assembly and she saying, I'm going to now you're sharing the transition na ewo and ka omubu to me afa a year union more jerry. And so let her abandon to say Uncle Basa and Mata say I need to anamobi na and petition Edema, a honorable chief of staff, original, a vice president, Dimono. You share your human self, my permanent job, and a movie. I think the petition betumi akova GRA for omo issue ni ko omo headache omo enya no fan so omo da share na trainees and as a national president now on behalf of all NAPCO trainees the petition ama excellency the vice president of the Republic of Ghana na say NAPCO na no onye said the be ya permanent job agenda no betumi akwa amaya na che the GRA for no dey e kan ho bi nti ni nyina ene petition na e ko no bi say ye be yekuru na yehunu bia this because GRA activity decision and so central government and we receive petition after a permanent job we are working things out in Yamia and embassy.
The Yammy no, a dena, a GRA for the no mutumitua napco for the canal Macade, Mungina Namoniaka Tian for controller.
Medasinia, you are cutting a somebody. Napo, you see the ministry system, and you take Nedi Poeta, and until you are maybe at the phone, and when you are left there with your cabo to me. Na njishemuka kwa maya ni se GRA for no ena omuji penit ni se do bi na pro omo ema nti omuka omo ebetua ntono ne ma ne ba enti na ke ya sempa se be be ye mu bi sisa ye na ko no se nko musu ku to GRA for na mo wi bia eni se be 10 months ye bo so e wa ho hia ne ahotro enti ye sa pepe ne ti ntia ye ka ntro ye bank account mu. The control of brand this kind of amount or this someone not to period make headquarters not headquarters to achieve kind of their money so and I think the internally generated fund GRA for a mobilizing or a big and normal chain and more no eka
say petition yam penny for some yakomatoya moaba
abanso masa name sebi any dia the vice president of the Republic of Ghana ede amana put trainees and no any deputy chief of staff original vice president and any kasa and ama akumatoyem abakakra na sebaba no de nekete na nti ama aban 1 week because 77 period tank 24 can say the second continue on top of go action minimum and but any DM pa we dia ma ya be petition I assure say within the shortest possible time, I bet you much said the young person did him a local for and akumatoya no, like I said, Abakaka, I said, beto your young party, now your visitor any.
President in one casao, now we some of the common abedia, Jemusan and Ado. The last time when Tiase won't Muntina Mode Coba Umia one.
May I say, and Tessa, in say, Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Ado Danko Kufodo, and our Dasto, Ghana Mampeni. Nemo, you will not assume you will be anti Enna, your petition of my Vice President. Number one, you should not everything we are ever through the Vice President office. Number two, letter if you are being a fan NAPCO secretariat so by said NAPCO no young person encouragement a year on Mampeni Abedi Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, or no, and I will need silent and who be a needing or silent in him. And on she said, let it be Abba, say young person encouragement, no Mampeni Abedi children are 7 who boom. Now I say, well, how be the air? Next is the only woman see a kind of day. Mampanyina body 3 I will watch and I will share a year 15th November 2021 then up for young Jumanabia now UFBA but I Romakrate una Winsashasi and the petition at the ma a year deputy chief of staff original of Mampanyini Abedi and Nemono yet the letter I make on him air touchy petition no tell the bill Mampanyina Bedi Sacaletena Obeka say I'm part letter Miana Mekai no to Miakai in Genunti and now my target of Mampanyini Abedi na any BBA.
Tachi ya badase na ya koswanso adimochi bibiania ya ne mo awai
Misumida kunya kunya modiamae
Ora Dennis Opoku Katachi wa memu nyina da NAPCO trainees wono ne di wo manim se president
Osha Ghana Basia ya wa from wasa Rise Ghana and one my friends and for the two many which say one more my Ghana photo some for don hwere no aduonu nan won tu ne ho ade so anya sa ban no antu ne so anya sa pa de a wo mo ankasa wɔn bɛfa Ghana mmara de ahyɛ wɔn nsa no ma yɛ deɛ sɛ ne fata wɔ ma yi mu wɔn mo kyerɛ mu sɛ yɛwura keno frata dwumadi a wɔdie sɛ finance minister no nyame anim ni wɔn mo namba bɛsɛ mfie nsie ne wɔbɛtena akonnwa soɔ papa no wɔn mo nim adeɛ pɔte wɔbɛtumi de ne nsa sene bo na waka sɛ wɔbɛtena ɔman akonnwa so sɛ fotosafoɔ no wɔayɛ ama Ghana yɛ sikasɛm atumi agyina ne na so na asɛm nam so mmienu owura Bernard mo na ɛtwetwe nkɔmmɔ de fa asɛm no ho ɛma wɔkyerɛ mu deɛ nti a wɔn mo ɛkasa yi.
We demand that government should immediately suspend this utility tariff increment. We are giving government 48 hours ultimatum to suspend the tariff adjustment or face the wrath of Arise Ghana and Ghanaians.
Arise, save Ghana now. Arise, save Ghana now.
You heard it. We are giving government 48 hours to suspend the tariff increment. Otherwise, they will face the wrath of Arise Ghana and Ghanaians. 2, we are once again reiterating our calls for the termination of the appointment of the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, who in this crisis has abandoned his office and is in the United States of America seeking medical care. This finance minister, who doesn't even have faith in our medical system, cannot be allowed to stay in office with obvious physical incapacity and driving Ghana's economy into unprecedented crisis. Clearly, the finance minister has infected his ill health on the Ghanaian economy, and the Ghanaian economy is sick as well.
Arise, save Ghana. Arise, save Ghana.
I was here for Arise, save Ghana. No. Where a year ba kwa one man shall buy us and so one must sorry, sir. One my Ghana photo sound for you, I can of rata, one share no 21 years.
Can of Olia, Tabe 2 years, 1 2 years, ya quadra. Nana Berma was every dear and in this year, Eddie Abasu body more ding, Eddie Magana, Mampenia Bediachwe, Dr. Laji, Mama Dupaumia Sremu Sejata, what is the Bongoma so? Say ye, Bequindi Fatano, never Tanakuno, Yankwan Queniase, Ninada and say, Community Water Supply System, this year, Wajira, a hoodie, once woman, I won't much of fun, were Brian Nana would page Mediano, Tomade, Contract and Edumedia Asan and Sa. Berma was every ya wa no ejina mu se dwira hene ese no kuranie na amanfo wono ma bre papa e won suo ho nanso MPP abanda ama ene wom su benye nsokrogen na wonom anom amna de hye komu so ahenha wonom eno nti na chese ya baso bono a en wode bosse sa adwumadie atumi abamu
kom de dramai enkrofo wu obi entimi mwaye edira mfie me no asa na meka some more than dance. So come to see it. If some machines no assessing, one idea anymore. Zio, say power anymore. Sika de quarter power. A pumping machines na mano, abano, Sikano, Zio, Miss Commoding of come ya. Listen, you would dear fair. The fact is, if you got a man penny, Dr. Mahmoud Baumi. Zio. Nini United Fred how I say your boss said that white about you sick Zio. A dress I didn't have to trust any tika way said a city my yen, and I said, your money and none of my domofino. You could fear him go to Mofu. Zio. Now you're more contractors, no more to my uncles. Zio. Yammy, what can be? Who's a contractor? No, I'm the office come. So office come. Yeah, that's it. Yebema was I see. Na mumesi officer a yefe latest officer bibia wom zero his spacious nkofo betwa sir na fe no obegina wiemu ne ade secretary ya zero to do betwa man air condition mo ntane mfa no ho kasro zero na satam no so kra no betwa so because of air condition no me contact bi ata jojo me ho kakra ma kotua bill no zero ti mo ye ready na mo ba ye be mo ba bia e se fata office
and what train engineer or in Kunadru, ya on a Jumedia, Wababedie, and so Casa Esenka, and you see a woman to no young cron, Nanso Sabre, one matrema copim edumino, or a quine sabo some cron temono, what ding another baby, ya no one some Ganesica free, what pepe dunum.
The fire, no, before 2020, latter part of 2020, and there are some class in the million so that period, the studies and the design the DIY design. I design area, no, about 40,000 people. I hear be about 100 liters per day. So I no. Now, so you see, now I'm 9 bubbles, and I'm doing Juma. You see, about 10. They been making sure so pump in the house so yeah, photovoltaic. Photovoltaic say a real bar pump never to be a Juma. They really no. Let's not get be a Juma. But today should be very reliable. What you say? Them the evidence so be a Juma. Now project no, the chemumi and sa contractors and sign the money. And the Juma can you know bomb money Juma year one. No money be around 15 million Ghana cedis. Let be a Juma way. Complete reconstruction. I be pipe distribution line in 52 kilometers and the transmission line so be like 6 kilometers. So the bomber almost 50 kilometers. There's a full Kumasi Korongo pipeline to be laid. Let you know. Besides, high level tank home. Besides, new office or Tramondo office Amma community. Let you know.
On Monyan for Kingsley was saying MC Madisha where Drassa Chadma say on also Casabo Benya Basso say or how it is say you are baby Eddie free Wama one Nadishi.
Abaya Epchen near Bebe in Onamsa Community Water and Sanitation Agency at the contractors be not brave. She says, so you say ABCC, yes, I am for reconstruction. Senior Yanyan and Tia, free water and sanitation agency for the honor. Pipe, no, a DBD Jumano, me and Sai Baba and throw over that. You know, and for I did a baby Jumano. We energy sem, we energy dear. The empire, they say, contractors never any project no say enimu no ebedi bosumen krono se nyame boa na bibia kopepepa na edia bawie ti sa kwan yi no na adodan kwa kufu adona ban no ede mpunto kese na aba isanse se ne yenyina enimu no ensuo de eyenkwa
Way Onimonyan for Kingsley or say a dress at Chaduma say a bang and I'm Musini.
Onimonyan for Quasiam or quarter or so for your share quantum pound some so. And I walk come Yamia would draw your contractors a good so 1 more year quine. Titron the Tamadeba Cosum Bo quantum pono. Now one or the aqua to Jetra, sir, a banner good so I am a family pa. Sir, a quire would draw. And near to tia propan some, Wabahan was yes ye. A beer ma quanya sefata, sir, 1 more year mianu. Na Ashanka 4 etiminya 1 more quan who sign a dear conia bow swono, Nina dash shemapa, a guaquem.
President Quado Abai, or the Amodink Siashimupa, a yet a Duakaro, say a highways Nina, yet being Yanina Dabu. No, and Chinese. For the blue one, so open self to climb a 1,000 kilometers or 1,000 miles. They are among Babuna Edikan. The Yashas now, if you some you are buying here, but about 2024, 25, another MPP are buying 2025. Now, of course, way a cut. Roads were highways are yet rising. Where Tema to a coast of Road, I yet rising. Now, campaign area Insan company, the home side camp. Oh, so much as massive data. Our 1 year on the Abusume Ediasa. Now, areas are projected. It's a year and Kuntabua. And the one be through September, October 2024. Now, on a double road, as we call it, dualized road.
And Awochi no wasanso to aso kire mu se nkrofo ene adan ahodoa wo ho beka nyina no aba ne behwe so obetua mpatesika e de ama wo no
project be affect the bibi send asase the property compensation the betua no pepe it will be a man kuma Anthony ana ya fepa with this particular project who say sky the betua compensation and in yemenya are you ready a part of the loan sky the be adwuma no so enye baby a oh afena ye ko ho na yakọ ye enkrata eko Ministry of Finance ebe china senior ye ni wo ye mamu say ye na ye tua aban betua so say aban ho de o disika obi an the near 2 years by because of the many needs of our country but where the compensation relocation of utilities we are a canina a share sky the project be affected the bibi
Afei oro kwabena bempon wano ye chief resident engineer wano so kasai sania kwan no won befa so mbeye no
pon nenu ebeye dual carriageway na say no 2 lane but we say we need 6 we need 2 lane dual carriageway now if we hustle airco akosombo no eno ebeye single carriageway na no say the kwan no tie no saa na ebeye no an say ye be improve no na yaye no kese ye be san aye 2 interchange and I say any flyover Esutari junction hono ye be flyover wo ho so ye be interchange the same interchange you know and no we kwakọbọ volleyball bridge a dache ombeye na akwa akosi Esukuma interchange sa kwan ne koho eni hoho eni de keka ho na ewo ashaman ye be overpass and I say flyover ewo ho it is a wo free temana wo ba wo be fasoro na omo kwa ashaman ne de keka ho no afa ase afi so yesa aye bridges are we fancy a friend river bridges maybe in show dano and no ye miensa and we be your kwan so now the kaho foot bridges and I say pedestrian foot bridges maybe a sebi nipa ebe nante etwa kwan nim and no overpasses be provide foot bridges and also ye baako du baako nti say o fa road structures now we na nam de na make catch minister no so say ye be san aye walkway tin if we ashaman akwa kosi akosombo and so ya de ba kwa ye beye e wo sa ekwan ewe so ejumadi aye di ebedi 30 months into 30 months ye shase May into enkosi be November de na ye nyame
Ora kwabena bempon eye chief resident engineer ya wobahwa sa kwantempo ahodro pinu a wobetumi agusu
yakwa Western North be na kakrani ne beto dwaso kopiemu bonsu nkwanta wo wura bi osusu sa wakokoro no boy tuoda so wakobo koro no ma ne aprosi fochi ni ko wura mu a mabuna wo wakoyi na free prositation etwaja tuni mu ahene ni mono ma ne aprosi fonzu free hwemu ase wakire nipa ne be se duonu sian ne NPP communication bureau e wo wa wura do Henry di animu a friends and trofo nhia mu se ade e kwa so okuro no na nye nanso nipa ya chi wom no dodo no a so ni mu asam ne ho ma ache ya kwa MPP fo ena ene omde wo mani ade a kire wo no so
omo kokoko na o yare ba ho a ni afa obo kokoko ni ewu anum a ni ache ye onam abantu mu a oba bedu a afekwa obo sere normal airport e wo kuru ma fe obedu so a ni aye dey ni ache no the total ni nyina ne say enipa pole about almost 26 ena o ma cheche o mo kuru mu a ama enkokrafo ato mirage ama emrafo so adwane esa se obi anim de e be che no esa se de allegedly yesi on kan kokura na yaden ya che no e che no obo kuru mu wa na do to adwane kokura so obi na je na adwane dey e ho no mo eno na yes say yedi kan bo police for na abaso as MPP aban and the LDP party. So, omo yade. So, omo ye enhwehwemu. Enhwehwemu de omo to aso. Na mom omo achi omo no. Enye omo nyina na kroma na se. Sabe omo account bi anomodi ko. Eri ti de omo hwehwem omo hu omo. Sabe omo kan wona de. They go to get a form as a party. Omo modi no mu ja omo pie. Esa se ye hu ebinu wo ha.
sebe onye bone ye ni aromande no obekọ bi ni aromande no ye ba aromande be se 1 year a chi ansa na ehu so onye hwe ye gya so ye ma hwe na ne da chi so aye den ase eni ti so mu twhwe mu no ye odi bone bi ni no ho a onye hwe no oye nya na nemu ya anya den e ma ye na omeka eye adofo no den ensa
Way eye ora Henry Adro na this year wo bonsu kwanta enso ekasa kakra fa asem no ho
ntia ji kuro na aboso ye ye hwi ye ya yatumi do anya banchi aburo ye ko esi ya koduma sa koto banchi abeji no ade ha ntia ase ye pesi na nhwe nim ko nti na eni abra ye tugu kuro ni so ese o mo ko ye pamom ye ko di so e na o ma forest esojefo ye ba ese ye ba pamom ye se ye ko ye o mu na adwana akọ na nhwe ni fulani fo na adwana akọ aja na nhwe no nti apese o mba fa o ma de anko ya na nhwe no o wuro ho sa mo ho sisi ase o mu ko pie o fu ma west nti apese announce FM fulani fo o mu ta tie radio fo o mu ba fa o mo de anko yan ye o mo hwe o mu ba fa na nhwe no nko mpanyimfo a o mu tie mpanyimfo nyina o mu ya mboa na nhwe no be bia afiri no because binimu ka se ayi
na sikaba babura asemi ba ye wadi akire pa guswada sikaba babura
oba pampa cho mejo so
yo say asem no say na akosi ensanfrontwe ensanchorofo nhia mu na MPP for free
yo when MPP for friends and trofo nhia mu e wo bonsu kwanta monten so a eye MPP for asem o mu ka nyina ne say efri da asem ne ba e besi ne no esanse amanyofo mo dwabo so abato mpesua so ama asem na akwadane amanyosem eba eye MP o wadwabo so abato mpesua so na bokom na minta kando ene na pamfo tim kopim epe lawyer e ma wona akwakodi aposifo nsem no e ma ne tim tutoma no nti ne wabon munyamfo agohari e kasa na ukirem se bebi adu no eni se ye de sa asem na ye party sem e wo se etimi hwe
babura
de wojo mo ama aposifo no mo asebi onim asem no ho hwe a aposifo etimi ache o mo ne de na me ya adom etem ko pie quarter obe o madwen so be lawyer ama lawyer etimi ape bill etimi ayde ama mo ena na osesa pon ye bonsu kwanta hene so edi tu biase be adu no wa bra na akromfo ne di bonsu kwanta fo awu no edi bonsu kwanta fo awu no na aposifo e won potama so bonsu kwanta mbu no no mo ye entwa ye nemu mo de agufo na yere eyeye enti odi nkotodwe agufom ensa edansa yem eto nkra ama IGP ni munyam
babura
ensema ekoso bonsu kwanta ansa na wo matime abu asem no ho enten that is an ensantrofo nchemu ekoso bonsu kwanta ne potemu ena bonsu kwanta ema sebi o machichi wo kunu ene wo man nso se be bi adu no o mo sere na nadan kwa akufuado ena afi munyamfo dampale se bebi adu no mo sere na o ma bonsu kwanta mabu na sebi asem no omni mu hwe no ensa amla fi no medi o mo nche yesa bebi adu no ene obedu bonsu kwanta ene bonsu kwanta bebi aye din emrante ntimi pia aboten so enkokwako ntimi mpie obi adwane etete wura madwade ensem nyeden enkoso bonsu kwanta ne potamu bebi a nti onzo o mo sere mpanifo se bebi adu no mpanifo ma adwobro ntimi meda na sebi mrante ne mabu no madwane o mtiti wura mu nyina no o mo nsa amla fi that is the course of bonsu kwanta e monten so no
na da ben on be kokot no
nyame ya adom eche no be kokot e won kan pumpuni mantem
ene na babura du be sia ne ahwede o kira so be pia ba yenu ya ba masika
babura de better from bia no
yo yenu ya ba masika babura western north ene obutuo ya asemi ba ye wadi akira ene so de pie mu no de aba no
awusafo ya ko mo so na ya ne ka prince anso akwakodi nkomo de free tafo ne ya tie kire se abusua adehye makoma dunso bia firimu be se emfie bebre nie ye wo sempanyfo ebodwaye amamra ne amane na won musie wo mo wo adehye kwanso eno na bre na duru ye abusua bu akonta no abu asrana no anacha se ena na so se nka won mutumi di sa adwuma no afebre no so se won mokoye a yɛse yɛde ɛso ato so wɔn ma to funu no ahyɛ da ɛda foforɔ no mbɛsɛ asie no msɛ hene ne ha efunu so yɛtu hyɛ da ade a yakɔ akɔtotɔ ho nneɛma afrɛfrɛ ahɔho a wɔn ba bɛdi nnuane ne adeɛ mosimo tu ahyɛ da asɛm wɔ deɛ wɔn te ase a ɛnya de a ɛbɛyɛ yie na yɛbɔ mmɔden sɛ nsa bɛka kɛkyerɛ prince ɛwɔ ahoma no so na yɛn na di nkɔmmɔde afritafo ne ahwɛ sɛ sia no sɛ ɛmu no afrɛdi abusua na te aseɛ sɛ wɔn mu nkɔsie anada so twetwere ba ho yɛnya ne deɛ na kyɛ sɛ ɔba ahema obeto aso di amame
to aso ana ye ko ebono mantem nom action aid eni nyumekwa enhya aban ase aka bomu di dwumaso bi fa kwan ya ne mremu ani bia bayi nipa tumi fa nipa nkwa tode om ye nukrutu dwuma ni titru ne emofra action aid Ghana eni nyumekwa enhya aban ase de odi anim no owura twum Dominic oye labor officer abono emantam no emo eno de asem no ba betu mu o se nkoda ye tieti omfa hodi esuo enyuma wodo a wo mutumi nya emo ni nyina ya de ase atwe Ghana fo adwen adisi so ne bra na woni nsentwofo twetwe nkomo eno se CI 83 no ya maternity protection convention ya ebose wo ban nsen a kwan obetene fie ne nakatua ebobo ho ban no ha bi ama ho eno ya de ba kwa won ma hye so obi ya adwuma domestic worker bi na yetietia ne fa ho de so egu nanim ase eno so CI 90 violence and harassment convention ni nyinada enso ye mra wo ma no mu yes sese wo hwe ni nyinada wo se we ni niam a wo de egu akwa mu a wo be ye ho adwuma na tumi aboa men na ye breni ani brebie ya nipa bi chi nipa nkwa tode wo ye enukrutu dwuma no etumi afri owretwum
Muhu yen soko ha yeba bekyerɛkyerɛ prospective employers and employees about International Labour Organization conventions, specifically Convention 183 Maternity Protection Convention, Convention 189 Domestic Workers Convention, and then Convention 190 Violence and Harassment Convention. What these conventions seek to achieve, the reasons why, any purposes, any objective aim International Labour Organization to me those conventions by the grace of God. Convention 189, which is the Domestic Workers Convention, has been ratified by the Parliament of Ghana, Regulation 2020. Amount for what those conventions are. Advantages are a woman say it me ratify na it me follow at the bemaye. Mamma fan starting free maternity protection and pimpina yana ema eko awoswa or ma womuni or ma wuachino. Bebrina yana jumawura for no ta you madi or maternity. Aya ye mom maternity leave would pay, especially those in the informal sector. The ebe money pay kura yetimi so bi wo honso kura be wie ni maternity leave no beba no na ni position is occupied by another person. Ya yi na dia nesa. Enti convention ni protect maternity adwuma wura for ehu se ono oba ya adwuma na ofa ofura eni kwanse wo yi na di. We say woman leave with pay. Ye wo domestic workers convention activities aye wo fie se gardener, security person ye from watchman yi. Sankrofo we nyina yo mo ye hu so mo ye vulnerable in the society. Emra bia anse dan mo omo ho ban enti sa convention we e protect you omo say ubefo obi amana ye domestic work amawa e wo say one ne sign contract amount of money obetua at the end of the month, the number of working hours, rest periods e wom oba adwuma on a public holiday e say utua na ka additionally on that public holiday no oni obi as domestic worker said onya wakoa e wo say emra bo ne ho ban.
Way a labor officer or rechum action aid for you media with 10 times so abonoman temu titru ne taino and I would chemu for ni bidi echere.
I was your self kwa man so na ne catch your prince according commodity frita for catch your my joy. As I see a moon one much me anya kwanya sie asam no ankasa boy mu akere sai.
Many another say na mama woni wa chief nyina adwudwem. No kure any be so do any chimo tafodia e krono atadi be bia idin a chese arahosem no be achi na obi bi ta so bi nyina ni se nku bia na ye tafohene e be tu gase onom de hia ahye fridge mo ache bi mo shinde sin pinche du nta ya shimo be sin fi mo pi bia shinde sin fi du o se o kanta emuni na bu na oye yi proko ifiro nti da o mo de share ifi eye eno ya wo the sound something no and so many no that so do chiri mo oye ta for community center wa o no robo canopy ebo o no mo be isi be bi e de efunu no beto no mo nyina e ready o no mo man ahofo bento ma ye nuane be pe o mo ya bo an ho akese o de twen eyi kesi na wa bra ene ade chi an pe ya ja the boy who see a question. You could do what canopy this, you know. The idea that the additional so and she said the Nipa are bamboo only a year. And say, hey, now really, some can see baby. You and terminal and close my home had the actual photo. And since be I led, I should see, you know, actually more. Yeah, answer by the way, you know, for many trust was a meaning and a meaning and few and 100 cities. When she said 100 cities, my DJ, thank you, know. If you can't amount of to say, I knew that you could be a bomba, and you may assemble a here. Not the social media, so actually more. The Mushna, there's a machine, Kubes, and me and some of the Shian, which you will be able to meet me, there's in Sia. The Bushian and the Cotton and so much than I said the moon is less free more than a car home. It's almost than I think that we want to win your moon, and I'm not yet to be your moon. Now, what they about woman, and somebody the baby in a scene and the core or non football. And everything else there be a man among Tiasia. The guy say we knew really 50 now so I'm a Yucatian in the moon, and to me, I'm a fool. Many about Busani and I said, I'm from champion.
Catch your my phone, see, yeah, that's why. I was your for your money, Bonnie, catch your prince in your turn and canon now, your course, Sunyana West. Croponi when no Bonomantemo. I once on the teacher, Mabrubi, a warnum, and soon full and for the sea, ni Pama make us an enchia. Wamakunkum Yasam Ketua. Yani assembly member ya no award dry lecturer area. When Monya voice Haku, Sulemana, Edin Como Edifasimi.
Anama Kuruno, Koma to Kurun, Niberiaba. Enti nama uhuku jan bubo boklum sana. Na me pa jan say nantwie aba beji yekuru na fa ya sa na fa. Ah say kuru a ye ti se bin kaya ye wa kuru say sen kaya kaya sponsor aduane wo kuru mu no. Say koma to kuru no. Ama say nibere aba wo dua wa bura mwa na we. Bayira mwa we ni obedua wo kuru mu bia na enye yi na mwa na se no. Nti ye nibere se ma na yetu nantwie nso sa. Anti na mwa hu say ko jan bubo kuru sana. Omufuru ba bi na ba yenim ba bi omufuri na ntwe omo akro mba bro be 7000 ana mo amatu afa de bebre man hene di kan soma me wo mene nana domase jase hene ene jaso ahene nana soma ma yeko ekobo omo amane omo kai so omo ati ombetu hu ana mo eno achi anso ha nana san soma ma yeko assembly ekobo so atam disi na no wona amane onso kai so betu hu ana mo eno ya antikunu ya antijano ankwa nkosi ba bia Didn't just say near do no do any brisem. Yakomani, chief commander, on so ya smony palma, more cobona mania, on sono, Yantini on so can be a miribina, it is a police for Baha, Ebes in cool room, for 2 tours are young and Pia Muku Yantini, AC.
You know, I just here be a woman to Chronos so and so Kasai edifacing home.
And Fiaji Kurona Bosso, Yashi and Ye, ya to me, do any banshee, a brew, ye calls, is here a Codmasa or top banshee, Virginia there. Into Antiasia, a person in training for Anthony and Yabra, ye too good clothes. And the show of Mokoya Pamom, your call these war, and on my forest, a soldier for, ya buy say, Pamom. They say, Yakoya, or me na Janako, and Fini, a full and for Janako, Ajan and Fino, until a person buffer, my dear uncle, Jan and Fino or William. I saw more is the Muko Pure from our west, until a person announced the FM full and for our Momutati radio for Omuba, Omba Fa Omadi uncle, Yan Yomoshi, Omba Fan and Fino, paying for our Mutia and paying for Nina, Omuyamwa, none and Fino baby, I feel because Binuka say a paying for the ministers who have been winning, and to say, winning Mudia, Ombaya, Omumfri Uncle baby, Moko.
I was your father's shabby, a wate or doya no a yokra was Sunyana West Kuponimu, Bono Mantamu.
Yawa for Mantam emo. Sabredia, ya say a dear your friend is a monkey pox show. Any lesser fever no. Dr. Samuel Kwabanabuachi Boating, your near regional director, Edema Apumdia Asia Yeno, Edia Tuja saying Yami, ni Pebia Ususu sending Kebuomo Koyo Moja Mushimono, meaning Adaba negative. Na 2022, for regional health sector performance review meeting ɛkɔ so Krotam go sumu ɛna ɔde asɛm yi no ɔkyerɛ mu na no wɔkasa asɛm a wɔkasa ho ne sɛ sustaining quality of care for improved health outcome in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic na ɛno na no ɔkyerɛ mu sɛ so ɔrɛ ahafo hɔ no a ɛmeɛ de wɔn afɔ fi papa 2 cases bi ananka wɔn ani wɔ mu no ankɔyɛ sɛ deɛ ne ɛteɛ no afei eye me bangenso eno so sada won mo anya bi nso ho influenza life illness actuality afre no ILI was here no so na ye aduonum enson cases eno mo tested positive de na nso go so aban ya sabe am gusu ada mo ye adwuma o te COVID-19 de no so nipa onya bie no na ye ahenu aduanan wo 248 ya contact tracing mu eno mo de hu ye emu nipa mienu miensa ena hwe wonum enkwa ti wo de ne nyina akwemu a woye de obetum bi ada so bebo ade hye ene agapade nso ban wo se agenda 111 ayasabe ahodo no a wonum esie no ene ekukuom de ekoso emem Kenya ase ni nyina agusu koso na infectious disease center eno so go so aba ayasabe no ni nyina da egusu ada ekoso.
For the year under review recorded 248 suspected cases, 58 turned out positive, and unfortunately 3 died. The COVID-19 vaccinations are still ongoing vigorously in all districts. Vaccine hesitancy issues following the review of preventive control protocols are being managed. Usually the president announcing relax on the protocols. Now people are not afraid anymore, so they don't want to have the vaccination. So we are taking this platform because I'm fully vaccinated. I've had my booster. So we encourage everybody under the sound of my voice and to encourage others who are not here to get fully vaccinated and go on to have a booster. It's very important. You are the change agents. You are the leaders. And for your information too, pregnant women have been included. And children 12 years and more have been included. There are vaccines for our pregnant women. So please, that's the message I'm leaving. It's very important. So currently now we are even working with USAID again, strengthening the care code project to train champions. So 2 days ago I was here, and my good friend Naga was trending. You know, trending. That's how I say trending. But I say I don't. I should say viral. It's so viral. Whereby I did here and it's going around. So everybody should get vaccinated. Join us, health workers, non-health workers, to do this. And the region has no active COVID-19 case, but it's worth mentioning that we also suspected cases of other epidemic diseases. We had 3 suspected cases of monkeypox, 1 of Lassa fever. But they all negative, thankfully. The Gulf Hospital for Information is a sentinel site for influenza-like illness. And the region had 147 suspected cases of influenza-like and 57 were positive, all from the Snafundo municipal. Fortunately, there has not been a suspected case of the deadly Marburg in our region, although we share borders with Ashanti region that had 2 cases.
Dr. Samuel Kwabena Boachi Boaten, Regional Director, Edema Apomde Asye no ewo ahafo mantam no emu.
Ara wo Samuel Yansaka firi kronoma bo ahia kyerɛ mu sɛ suku ni akoda bia. Wanya mfie no nnum akoda na kɔtɔ tadie ma menne wayɛ nyamedia. Enhwemu kyerɛ sɛ wɔne ne namfofo nyina wo suku mu sua de. Ɛna ɔse ne kwan do adwade. Enti wɔn ne namfofo de kwa akɔdware no wɔn nyina yi na yipamu. Ɛda ne wɔn machi kwa de ma no ɔmo no nko a kwabena ne si mu pampampa akɔda wanya mfie num wɔ kwa akɔdware. Ɛne sɛ hwɛ wɔde akɔkɔyɛ nyamedia. Yama ne boni afia agye wɔ akɔde na kɔ hɔ no mu a wɔne adansefo bi edi nkɔmɔfa ho.
Enra omo be gu nsa but before nra no omo be hu ni school uniform egu ensuo no efa ho it say obi dware enti omo so omo hu na omo gu nsa say yampa so akama ya de chia no prai oso ne nemu na obi hu so abetani na yenso yete na ye ba be hwe bi ye ba yenso ye no kure ampa otani ampa enti say ono an bi dware ye o say obi ne ku no ende enti stu also ojina
I'm going to be a credit swap for Nigeria credit. I'm very sorry, I'm a friend. You're both is going to come on friend. You sign a couple of times. You don't cinema. I'm going to be a bar.
was your for way I was somewhere as ye were crown my boy here. So could you quada when you fear no na and they watching anonymous one see a dono and you could see him was him.
I was yana Cassiano was see. Neddy a breno caught to na text messages, you know. Yadi a bit to me, I can kind say, ye brennan, I a bit, Tinedi among fan chain, or Cherebecan camamo. Na etumi aboa akasi maba akope na ye bre na aso na ye be enti akua mo aboa na akua mo aboa ten wo bai wo de bia so atwrato ye ya pe no abashim ye da se so de wo de bai nyame hira papa agona ba Samuel wo so de wo de bai nyame hira why why ade pa samudi echi Sompa 7 boache oso chia yen wase kropon no fire nyame hira opa de mo Felix ono so de bibai kumase so ame ye da se so ame from okrum da se papa wa wo tan de for wasem ko ate ni hu adaje ana ne Samuel kunso ono se 2024 Dr. Mamadou Baumia wo ba se kakaye ne no ben no careful kra fantastic weber for so ye da se onso de no e de ba ya na pabiri kuma ebusia yeni adaje o yeni adaje kra ebusia kase no si edamase mo amudi bi baaye ye so amakatecho be ma ne na pamfo wo mo de asem peni pagumedi no aba na asemfo pani no awa ha asante abo Benedict Kuku Veronica Jando akosia Somo Elizabeth Benana kwabra kasi miku nana ya abo ama ene mo friend na da sister Grace efieje wa akode wonu nyina da bo adwuma mfididem so ni wo ho akiola PK Rocky bebo adwuma papa school fees Godfrey ena Samuel David ene wonu meka ho nyina da ebo aya ye de kase ebo emu da wo se bremo wa pesma kafo ne ye me ohini ni amakrancha dozo of mami premier ni mene
akosia eje wakode boati
Yana mai ya mai ko senie so ye dwede ni wo ye cheche ni wo ye doctor wo ye nurse eto a wutua no ekohe eto ni ye de anwuma esefata na